Steven. How's the sync?
Yeah. What?
How's the sync?
It's in sync now.
You've been waiting. You've sit on that one for a while, huh?
No, I just thought of it. That's how good it was. You thought I was sitting on it. Just thought of it. Ugh.
It was worth the wait.
Yeah, the sink is officially fixed. Met the upstairs neighbors in the process. That was interesting.
Are they better than the ones you had before, whether it was the hoarder or the family that would play the Jim Carrey movies super loud?
So much better than any of those upstairs neighbors. Though the downstairs neighbor, yeah, I've stomped on my floor too many times when he's been blasting music. He doesn't acknowledge me. He literally, like the other day, we walked by each other and he didn't even bother to look at me. He knows. He knows.
So wait, are you the one instigating it, or is he the one that's because he's been playing his music too loud, so you've been stomping?
I went down there once, haven't been back there since, and they're still playing their music incredibly loud and being disrespectful. So I'm not going to go down there and ask him again because I'm petty. So I'm going to continue to stomp on my floor as loud as possible till they get the message. He does not like that though, and you know what? He's a punk. So whatever.
I like how you're getting more like me in your old ways of these young kids and their Dan I can't get the reference out. Dan Fogelberg. There's some movie where they say that. Anyway,
nice.
Yeah, I'm all over the place today. A lot of Draymond. It's been a long day, Steven. It's been a long day of sports talk radio.
Oh man, what a struggle for you.
We'll get to it all. We'll talk football. We'll talk Draymond. We'll even talk a little Ohtani that Steven missed out on. Just your opinion, man. Steven Langford, Derek Papa. Real quick, Steven, what were your thoughts on Shohei Ohtani's big contract?
I need to see it play out. My whole opinion on it, all right? My opinion, man. My opinion on the deal is it's one of the most amazing deals I've ever seen. Really. 680 deferred. Like, he's only going to be taking $2 million a year. I don't know why my cam's so foggy, Ernie. Did that do it? I think I helped there.
Yeah, you got a little like Titanic situation there.
I think I got it. I think I made it better. Anyway,
you get that reference. Steaminess of DiCaprio and Winslet.
Could have gone a different route.
That's the first thing I came to when I thought of condensation.
Titanic?
Yeah.
You're weird. So the Ohtani deal, $680 million, whatever it is after that 10-year contract's up. Genius deal. I think deferred contracts are more common than we think. We just don't know about them because it happens with a lot of these other players. And obviously Bobby Bonilla is very well known, but the reason that they're still paying him until 2035 is because the Mets were in cahoots with Bernie Madoff. So that has a totally different storyline to it. But I just wonder, and my question to you is, obviously it's a deal that everyone wants, and I think you're an idiot if you say that it's not a good deal because the Dodgers are getting one of the best players that we've ever seen at a discount. Are they getting him in his prime? I don't know. But my question to you is 10 years, like how many World Series would they need to win in 10 years to make the after effects worth it? Because I'm sure they could get by paying, a random player who's not on their team potentially $68 million per year for the next 10 years. I'm sure they could still make do, but that's got to take some sort of significant hit to whatever your salary cap's like. And who knows, maybe at that time in the next decade, like maybe baseball will be at a point where they're in a hard cap situation instead of no salary cap at all. The CBA negotiations could change everything. But like how many World Series would be worth it? Because to me, like if they managed to win like one, like that contract wouldn't be worth it to me. Like if you're winning just one, if you win 2 and 3, maybe, but just one, if this is just for one championship where you're doing all of this, I just question whether it'd be worth it or not.
That was my answer. It's going to be one.
It
may not be worth it to you or me, but it'll be worth it to that fan base that gets shit on for 2020, where a lot of people don't think it was a legitimate championship.
Mm.
All in. I mean, they're getting Ohtani. They might get my dude that looks like the guy from Peaky Blinders, Killian Murphy.
Yeah.
Now.
Tyler Glasnow, yeah.
Yeah. They may get who's the other
Yamamoto.
Yamamoto, thank you. I don't know, man. I will say this. I think that it's kind of petty, since we're talking about pettiness, that people are all up in arms about the deferred money. They found a loophole, and anybody else would have done this if they had the opportunity to get Ohtani. I think everybody needs to chill the fuck out on that one. I think that I understand it's never been done before. It's unprecedented in baseball, but we see deferred money all the time in football, and I know it's different. I know it's, he should be taxed for the amount of time that he's on the contract and everything, but I think everyone's just a little jealous that the Dodgers came through with this deal.
Yeah. Yeah. And the rich just keep on getting richer. I am jealous of the deal. But when I, take a step back and also remember that I'm actually covering this thing, it could be pretty cool, at least however long I'm in the Bay Area for. It will be pretty cool seeing Ohtani for 13 games, at least a season, against the Giants, and kind of being forced to watch it. It's going to be fascinating to watch it play out. Like, it really is, because this is that team that everyone's going to be talking about in the future, like 30, 40 years down the line. We always talk about those Yankees teams, right? And just how much of a powerhouse they were in Major League Baseball. Like, are the Dodgers going to benefit from that? I do question, though, and this would be, I think Dodger fans are kind of apprehensive around it because of this fact. Like, we've seen what happens if you're the number 1 or the number 2 seed in in the West or the East. You're not even calling it the conference. What do they even call that? What do they even call that? What do they even call the East and West in the
leagues
in baseball? Just the leagues? It's not a conference. Normally it's
the American League and NL League. You're asking me the National
League. Oh, that's
League.
right. Yeah, the American League and National League.
Good Lord, is it too late for you too?
Dude, I've had a lot. I've.
By the way, it was these damn kids and their Dan Fogelberg. It's a reference from basketball. That's what I was referencing in the podcast. Right. If you didn't know what the hell I was talking about,
thanks. What was I saying? Yeah, in the American League and the National, I just said, what do they call the West and East? Oh my God, I cover sports for a living. So, yeah, if they're the 1 or 2 seed though, and they're getting that bye week, it's clearly shown that teams don't benefit from that. So, I mean,
yeah, super teams in baseball really don't work. So we'll see how this goes. I mean,
I forgot the American and National League.
Yeah, that was embarrassing for you. I will say that the reaction from everybody in the Bay Area was, well, why didn't Farhan offer more money? From everything that was reported is just the fact that Shohei wanted to go to L.A. He wanted to stay in L.A. He didn't want to be a Dodger. So I don't think you could fault the Giants for this. Very interesting article today, though, from Andrew Baggerly talking to Buster Posey. Did you see this, Steven?
I did.
And I think it's kind of a tired argument that San Francisco is a shithole and there are, drug addicts and blah, 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 whatever. I'm tired of that argument. I think it's just an excuse for people that have never been to the Bay Area to shit on it and say there's crime everywhere. There's crime in metropolis areas all over the country and homelessness issues all over the country. So I understand what Buster Posey is saying, but I don't buy it. I think people just don't want to sign with the Giants. And I don't think if they have an excuse of San Francisco, then you really don't know anything about the area.
It's a total cop-out. It's a total cop-out for the team. Like Farhan said it, Buster repeated it. Maybe it's true. Maybe some of these players are saying San Francisco just is not a destination that they want to go to. It's not attractive. And the players' wives things. I think I was interested in that comment when he said the players' wives. Yeah. I bet you, because it's I hated the one thing I hated that quote he said. What was it? I know it's a saying, but I don't necessarily agree with it. Perception is reality.
Yeah.
Is perception really reality? Perception's perception.
It depends when you're trying to land a free agent. I listen, I'm not blaming. It's not that I think that Buster Posey is just, making stuff up. I don't believe that. I do believe that there's validity to what he's saying. But at the same time, I think the players are wrong for thinking this. You don't think there's issues in LA? Like, sorry, but like it was interesting in that article where it said that stuff that with the perception of San Francisco did play a role in Shohei not wanting to come to San Francisco, which I find ridiculous, but whatever. Like I guess that's what people think these days. But I don't know. All in all, the Dodgers are pulling a fast one on the rest of baseball, and I think just everybody needs to catch up a little bit. That's
Yeah.
my take on things.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a decade of dominance for them, but there's
You think so?
Yeah, at least, well, not a decade, but I think it's going to be 2 to 3 years of dominance. And after that,
of winning actual championships.
I don't know if it's going to be winning actual championships, but they're going to be winning 100 games each season.
But they've done that already.
Yeah, and they're going to continue to do that. They've been dominant.
They didn't need to do this to stay relevant and win 100 games. They did this to win championships.
Yeah, but you can't tell me that the Dodgers haven't been dominant over the past 5-6 years.
Of course they have.
Well, then of course they have. It's going to continue. That's what I'm saying.
I know, and eventually, this may be Kershaw's last year. I don't know the whole deal with that, but
free agent, eh?
Currently, or going to be afterwards?
I think he's currently a free agent.
He's going to sign back with them, right?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure he's back with them.
Really?
Are they just moving on without Kershaw? No.
I think so. He just had surgery. The last I saw, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, he's taking his time between potentially choosing.
Yeah, he's going to come.
Could be.
He's coming back. They'll have a big old send off for him.
Yeah, they need to. He's a Dodger. He's one of the few Dodgers I think that any Giants fan can truly respect, just because he's been with them through that time. It's interesting too with San Francisco. I just watched the new Andrew Callahan documentary, and if anyone doesn't know who that is, he's basically like this independent news journalist, started with All Gas No Breaks, plays this
Bill Callahan's son.
Not Bill Callahan's son.
You got to be the dumbest team in America.
Plays his he has this suit straight from Goodwill. He has this character. He also wears like sick ass sneakers all the time. He's great. Somehow when he's doing like on the street interviews, he manages to get people to freestyle every time. I don't know how he does it. He's a magical person. Or he has that magic in him. Although he did have some allegations going on over the past few years, so he was kind of in the dark, but he's come back out, and he did a documentary on San Francisco. And immediately when he went downtown, he saw a carjacking, talked to a person who was doing fentanyl straight in the open street, or heroin, I think, doing crack maybe. I can't remember which one. And he witnessed something else all in the span of a minute and a half, and it made San Francisco look terrible. It really did. And it did not do it any justice. And I think that's what people see, is just they hear all the negative stuff about it. Like, the thing that bothers me too is they're not going to be in San Francisco. The only ones who bothered to stay in San Francisco happen to be the Giants players. It's like, yeah, Gabe Kapler, you're in San Francisco. Hunter Pence, you're in San Francisco. You know what? There's other places. There's Atherton. Go be next door neighbors with Steph. Maybe a fan will break into your house trying to get an autograph. Go to Alamo. Go be across the street neighbors with E40 over in Blackhawk. I don't know. Like, there's other places in the Bay Area.
There are other places, and that's just people have a perception of Oakland, and there are some bad things that happen in this area. I'm not going to deny that. Just right by me at a 7-Eleven on Harrison Street, right across the street from a Whole Foods. Unfortunately, a security guard was murdered on Saturday. I went to that convenience store earlier that day. Terrible, absolutely terrible. But there are beautiful spots in this area as well, around Lake Merritt. It's just, perception is not always reality. But if this is what's leading free agents from coming to the Giants, then I can't say that that's not a thing. But whatever. I think it has to do more with the team itself. So,
yeah, like I go back to Bryce Harper. Go back to what Bryce Harper said about the Giants when they made an offer. He did an interview with Dallas Braden and Jared Carabas when, I think they still do a podcast, but they used to do one through Barstool Sports. They don't do it anymore. But or at least they don't do it through Barstool Sports anymore. I think they do it under the DraftKings umbrella now. But Harper basically said, like, oh yeah, they made an offer. It was a good offer, but the Giants just didn't show me that they were on track to win. like I felt like the Phillies had more of a core, and I saw a better future with them. The Giants, they just didn't show me much, and I think that's kind of the same with Ohtani. Can you imagine Yamamoto? Like, good Lord. I saw that report earlier too, where Yamamoto's down and that meeting in LA, and they got Betts, they got Freeman, they got Ohtani. You got like the three nicest dudes in baseball. Right? Like these are Freddie Freeman's Freddie Freeman. Mookie Betts, just all around great dude. Perception. Maybe it is reality, maybe it's not. And then you got Ohtani being Ohtani. Like, how are you going to say no to that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, hey, I just visited San Francisco at Oracle Park. I don't know. That former manager tried giving me a coffee recommendation, but here down in Los Angeles, you know what I could do? We're going to win. This team is built to win. And the Giants, they can't really sell that right now.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, I think, is that the Giants may be appealing as far as Bob Melvin and the stadium and whatnot, but or maybe even not that. But what do they have on paper that shows that they're going to be a winning product next year? Nothing right now. They
Right.
can, but yeah, we'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
Just real quick.
I told one quick.
Ooh.
I'm interested to see the Young Ho Lee signing. Young Ho Lee. Yeah. Young Ho Lee. I think he brings in an added element that they need, but at the same time, he can't be the number one free agent that they sign. Like, if they're going to do it, they got to sign one of the top guys on this market. Like, you got to go out and get yourself a Blake Snell. You got to potentially trade for, I mean, Glasnow's not in Glasnow's going to be a Dodger too, probably. Like, you got to do something, because Young Ho Lee probably going to be a very good player, proved to be a very good player. But with the way that baseball's built now, you also need a power bat, somebody. I don't really trust Bellinger. I think, he was fantastic in Chicago, but I don't think that he'll thrive at Oracle Park. So I think a player like Lee can, because Lee's a contact hitter and not a power guy who's just trying to whack it out of the park every single at bat. But they need a right-handed guy who can get it out to left field. I don't know who that is. I don't know. Just this next season, it's just another development year for the Giants, it seems like.
All right, Steven, I let you talk Ohtani since you missed another breaking news moment on this show. I think that's 3 now. Missed Devontae Adams getting traded. You missed John Madden dying, and then you missed Ohtani.
What's next?
Well, we're here for Draymond Green suspension.
Yes, we are. How about that?
We will get to football. We'll get to the Raiders. We'll get to the Niners. We'll get to a lot of other things that happened this last week of 14 in the NFL. But we got to talk about Draymond Green and what happened last night. So Warriors go into Phoenix with an empty-handed, well, not empty-handed, but a short-handed Phoenix Suns team that was going to play with the big three for the first time ever this season. I think they may have done that tonight, actually. But Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant does not play, and the Warriors still lose 119 to 116. And it was mainly because of Draymond Green's ejection, I believe. I thought Draymond Green was playing very well, and then he got ejected. What quarter was it? The third quarter?
Yep. 8 minutes, third quarter.
Yep. There was a whole thing. I mean, we'll get to it as well, but lineup changes. Klay Thompson and Andrew Wiggins, I think, combining for a grand total of 10 points. They were benched in the fourth quarter. Kevon Looney was benched. See a lot more Brandon Podziemski. See a lot of Jonathan Kuminga. See a lot of Moses Moody. So the bench provided 80 points, while the starters, it was mainly Steph Curry. So, but Draymond Green's ejection. So him and Yusuf Nurkic get into, he's just guarding him up, and then Draymond flails and smacks him across the face. And this is, I think, 6 games after his suspension, where he was gone for 5 games with the whole chokehold of Rudy Gobert. And Draymond Green didn't fight it. He sat on the bench and knew that he was going to get a technical 2, got up and left. And then in the post game, he talked about how he really didn't mean to slap Nurkic in the face, and he apologizes. Today has been a long day of sports talk radio debating, did Draymond Green mean to do it? Are you really buying his excuse? Are we tired of his act because already he's been ejected 3 times this season? And then, as I was ending the show today on Tolbert and Copes, right before we had Steve Young on, and Steve Young's reaction to it was quite priceless. But the punishment has been handed down. Draymond Green has been suspended indefinitely. And what that means is he's basically being treated like John Morant or Kyrie Irving. Once he proves to the NBA that he is changing for the better, then he'll be allowed to play again. And this is going to cause him to go have to do counseling and miss however many games it takes for him to come back and show Adam Silver and the rest of the NBA that he is going to change for the better. I find this to be highly, I don't know, like erroneous or whatever word you want to throw out there. I'm probably using erroneous wrong, but just this seems crazy to me. I'll get to my whole feelings on the whole thing about erroneous. But Steven, your reaction to the punishment and the actual incident from last night.
Actual incident, he meant to do it on purpose. I don't believe him one bit that it was unintentional. I don't care if he says that it was unintentional. It was intentional. That's all happened to us. That's happened to anyone who's played sports. That's happened to any of us who've maybe, I don't know, gotten in any sort of physical matchup with maybe like a sibling or like a friend when, you're doing something where you like mean to hit that person somewhere, mean to hurt them, but then like the repercussions come back and it's like, oh, it was unintentional. I apologize to Yusuf and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I don't believe that from Draymond. I believe that maybe he didn't think that he was going to hit him in the back of the neck or the back of the head, whatever, and knock him down and have him do all that. But I do think that he intentionally, that's not a natural motion, man. It's not a natural motion to swing your arm and
it was a backhanded pimp slap.
Seriously. Yeah. And he's like, oh, I'm not a MMA fighter, so I didn't connect. Yeah, we know you're not an MMA fighter because you didn't put that chokehold in the full lock on Rudy Gobert, so we know that. But I'm like, dude,
rear naked choke, baby.
The rear naked choke, baby. I did think it was intentional. I understand the suspension. I don't know what it means indefinitely. I don't know how long it actually means. But I think the NBA is just trying to make it look like they're taking swift action on this because, as Monty Poole stated in his article, what is really taking into account here, what's really factored in, is the idea that the NBA is going through negotiations for their media rights deal in 2025 when it's up, and they're looking for somewhere in the range of $10 billion. And right now, when you got one of your players, a guy you're turning into an analyst, just doing something like this again and again and again, and at the same time saying, yeah, I live by my own rules. Like, nobody's going to stop me. I'm not going to apologize for anything. It's just bad look. It's a bad look. So I think the NBA is just trying to save face by saying, oh, yeah, we'll put him through counseling. We'll do all this. I don't necessarily buy that entirely. Like, what are you going to do?
Well, what do you think he's going to do in the time that he's gone from the team?
I don't know. Hang out with family. Get back to reality a little bit. Calm down. See what you're missing. Like the money hit's going to be enough. This isn't a John Morant situation where John Morant clearly had something going on. Like, I don't equate that to that at all, where he went to some counseling program in Florida. Like, that dude's got issues. But Draymond, like, I don't see it that way. I think Draymond's just who he is. And
yeah.
I think that he was very level-headed in what he was saying. I don't believe him, but I do think he's very calculated in what he was saying. I think Ja Morant, for example, was just being Ja Morant and showed just terrible lack of judgment and didn't seem to understand why it was so terrible. I think Draymond understands. It's just, this is who he is, man.
Yeah, I mean,
what was your opinion, Derek?
Just watching it last night, I was like, Jesus Christ, we're really doing this again?
Yeah.
Like, come on, Draymond. And part of me, I know this sounds crazy because he's done a plethora of things while he was still with the team.
Good word.
But a part of me thinks, would Draymond pull all this shit if Bob was still around? Bob Myers? And I think yes, to a certain degree, but I think at some point Bob would have been like, dude, you've been ejected 3 times in this early part of the season. Like, what the fuck are you doing? We need you to play games here. So while Draymond with Bob's presence has never stopped him from doing anything. I do think that Bob being around would have helped a little bit because I got to be honest, I don't see a lot of put up from Steve Kerr and Steph Curry when it comes to this stuff. I mean, I know Steph's kind of tired of it. You saw last night, whatever he was mouthing to Kevin Durant, he was not happy. And Steve's not happy. He hasn't been happy since we saw him mouth. I'm fucking sick and tired of Draymond shit. So we know, we know the biggest blow up I remember was Steve and Draymond get into it the night of the double bang game at halftime, where Draymond refused to go back into the game. And since then, Draymond's just kind of coasted. He's the only time they suspended him was for calling Kevin Durant a bitch. That's the only time that they have suspended him as a team. And when you give Draymond Green a contract that they did this offseason, after everything that's gone on with him, I don't see how anything's going to change. So last night, I'm fed up. I mean, it seems to be that everyone is fed up. I went to the gym this morning. I ran to a guy. I was wearing a Warriors shirt, and he goes, "Man, I'm sick of Draymond shit. I love him as a player, but I'm just tired of it." And then calls today have all been the same thing. I'm tired of Draymond. And a lot of people have said it's just kind of been Joe Lacob kind of enabling him because they need him to be on this team, to be a championship team. And they definitely did that with the contract. It's been tiresome. And I'm tired of the same song and dance every time of I got to be better. I'm going to be me, but I got to be better. I got to be there for my teammates. And it just never really resonates. Do I think that he did that purposely? No, I do not. I think that Draymond is just kind of awkward sometimes in his basketball style. He's a great player. He's a great defender. But I think that he just plays a certain style of basketball that is violent and, like I said, awkward and weird looking. I think he was trying to draw a foul and he went way too hard. I don't think he was trying to smack Nurkic in the face. I really don't. I think he was trying to put Rudy Gobert in a headlock, and I think that he was trying to stop on Sabonis' chest. But last night, I don't think that he was doing that purposely. I know a lot of people are thinking you're crazy. I know like everyone thinks he did it purposely.
I think you are.
That's fair. But I choose to believe him in this situation. But that doesn't matter at this point. What matters is that he has a rap sheet of just different transgressions that he's done since basically being suspended in the NBA Finals. And we always go back to that quote of, I got to be better, I got to be there for my teammates, and nothing's changed. Since 8 years ago, that has not changed. And it's just frustrating. I don't know what's going to change because I thought that this was going to be the end of Draymond this past offseason, and they rewarded him with a 4-year contract. So I don't know what to make of this. As far as a suspension, I think it's kind of lazy of the NBA to not give him an actual suspension. And I don't know what they want to see from him. Counseling, like, are they just doing this because Nurkic last night said that brother needs help? Like, it was a funny quote, but what do they want to see from Draymond? Like, do they want to see that he's not an angry person, or like he's not going to change his style of play? He has to play angry to be him, but that gets him into a lot of trouble. So I don't know what they really want to see that will change him. I think that I know it's different from Ja Morant and Kyrie Irving, obviously, but I do believe that it's kind of a cop-out, and to put him in the same kind of suspension, I think is ridiculous, to be honest. I think that he should have gotten a 10-game suspension or an 8-game suspension, but to suspend him indefinitely until he proves himself to the league, I don't know what they want him to prove without playing a game. Isn't this all about on-the-court stuff?
I think they just want to hurt him where it's going to hurt most, and that's the pocketbook, right?
No question, but you could do that, but I don't know what Adam Silver needs to see in order to say that he's fixed. Like I don't know what that means.
Yeah. No, I don't know either. But yeah, God, I just burped at the same time. I don't know. Like, I do think that the 5-game suspension was kind of calculated because they just kept him out for the in-season tournament game. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like, I know I think I saw Kendrick Perkins suggest like 25 games or something, but he also suggested that like Ja Morant should be suspended for the season. So yeah, I don't think 25 games is going to
Ja Morant, for people scoring at home, Ja Morant got 25 games for the second gun video. So I think that's That's excessive.
Second gun video, and also for the lawsuit where he punched a 17-year-old and said that he was doing it in self-defense. So Warriors schedule, though. So they got the Blazers, or excuse me, the Clippers, the Nets, the Blazers, the Celtics, the Wizards, then the Blazers again. That's 6 games. And then you got Christmas Day. I mean, if you really want to suspend them 7 games, make Christmas Day the last day, really hurt them there, because Christmas Day games matter. They really do to these guys.
That's when the season really starts.
To you. But Christmas Day, come on. In-season tournament, dog. Christmas Day games.
Oh, yeah, we gotta hang that Lakers banner.
Are huge for these guys. And I think if you really want to send him any message, or at least just do something where he might feel some bit of remorse, just take him out until the end of Christmas Day and then bring him back on that bring him back after that Monday game against the Nuggets.
Yeah, I mean, just to focus on the team right now, I am never really like gloom and doom when it comes to the Warriors, and I'm especially not that way when we're this early into the season. But I got to be honest, I don't feel good about this team at all.
How can you?
Well, I know, but like, in years past, they just were lackadaisical. That's how you pronounce it, Zion. But they, like last year, like I told you, like, I'm not going to overreact to anything in the regular season with the Warriors. And then they got the 6th seed. And then the year before that, we were worried about them during the regular season, and they won the championship. This time around, I don't know. Klay Thompson. Whew. I think anything's on the table right now. I was listening to JD do his post-game show last night, and he said this team is broken, and I kind of agree with him. From what happened with Draymond to Klay being benched to Wiggins being benched to them just doing absolutely nothing offensively. I don't know what's going to get better on this team. And I don't know, like, I think anything's on the table when it comes to lineups. I think you can make a case that it's time maybe to bench Klay Thompson and not start him. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility you think about trading him at the deadline too, because the report came out today from Shams Charania that Klay turned down a 2-year, $48 million deal before the season started. And you always love when a player bets on himself, but that was a bad move, because I don't know what the future holds for him on this team. He is, like, we're talking about people's mental state. I agree with you, Steven. I think Draymond's just being Draymond. This is the way he is. Klay, on the other hand, is going through something, and it's hard to see. Same thing with Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the future is for both of those guys. And I think that Steph is visibly upset, frustrated. I don't feel good about this team. And I don't want to be hyperbolic and say they're not going to be a playoff team, but I don't see how this gets better without them making a drastic move.
And not even to mention, like, Kerr, to his detriment, has been very patient with those guys and finally didn't bench them until last night. Yeah, I don't even know if I'm like angry or mad. I don't know if I have that feeling. I think I'm just like longing for those days when this team just the word joy was used often when they played, and just the way that they played, everything. It was just full of joy. And now it's just full of panic. It's full of questions, and I've been made sad watching it, because like watching Klay just deteriorate, just awful.
Yeah.
Like you're seeing him just being a shell of himself, and that he's beating himself up about it. And, yesterday it didn't show much of the broadcast. You didn't see him a ton sitting on the bench, but, when you did, you didn't see him talking too much. But, when I heard Slater on this morning with the game, I mean, he's saying that Klay was screaming by the looks of the coaching staff. It was no one directly. He was throwing stuff. Like, it's sad to watch that. And then Andrew Wiggins, I thought, had a career resurgence since his time with Minnesota, when the narrative around him was that he doesn't try, doesn't put it in an effort, and he's not worth the number 1 overall pick. doesn't care about basketball. Then he comes through and he becomes one of their more, if not the most, well, actually Steph Curry was, but the most important player, second to Steph Curry. Maybe Kevon Looney could be up there too. But Andrew Wiggins being one of the most important players in the playoff run on their way to the championship in 2022. And it felt like he turned a corner there. And maybe this is who he was. And then obviously everything happened last year with, the rumors and the rumors that we refused to talk about on this show and the rumors that didn't turn out to be true. So thank God we didn't talk about it. Very proud of the pod for that. We didn't need to express our opinion, man, on that matter.
Yep.
But, thinking that this year, all right, he's going to come back from that. He's going to be all good. He's fully healthy and all that sort of stuff. And he's just not the same player anymore. And he could be on the back end of his career now because Andrew Wiggins has been playing for a long time, despite how young he is. I mean, 9 years playing in the pros. I think it's his 9th year. 9 years playing in the pros, or it could be his 8th. But all of it, and then just like watching the young guys fight, and seeing how good they can actually be. It's not like it's not fake what they're doing out there. What they're doing out there, real like legitimately, it's not like because we have low standards for the bench. They're actually playing at a very high level. And, now the starters can't pick them up. Last year, it was the bench who couldn't pick up the starters. Yeah. Now this year, it's the starters who can't pick up the bench. It's just a mess. And I'm not even mad about it. I'm not even angry watching it. I'm just
sad.
I'm just made sad by it, man. Like that's all because it used to be, this is a dynastic team and you wish that everyone could be like the Spurs or everyone could be like the Patriots. After you go on your dynasty, you don't have to win championships every year, but at least be in the hunt. And it seems like after about a decade of being there, I think that being in the hunt, no longer there anymore. I don't think they're going to be in the hunt. They're going to be a playing team probably.
I think the last championship was pretty much, I don't know. I don't want to say it yet, but I think it was kind of the bow on things because that wasn't the best team that the Warriors have ever had. But they won because they had the playoff experience and they were a good team in 2021, 2022. But I didn't feel like it was the strongest team. It kind of felt like a lifetime achievement award, to be kind of honest. Like it was all of them together again. The ones from the beginning, from the 2015 team of just Steph, Clay, and Draymond. But for them to, get through that season, because like I said, I didn't think that was the best team, but they proved everybody wrong. It was the prove it wrong season. It was, we finally did this without KD. And now it just feels like they've held on to everybody for a little bit too long. Like, you could have made the argument that they should have said goodbye to Draymond. And Draymond's playing well this season. But you wonder if maybe they regret the contract now with what's going on with him on the court of just losing his mind. Yeah, I am sad, but also things come to an end. And I'm okay with that. Like, I think we talked about it on the podcast where the season ended against the Lakers. I'm okay with all this. I saw them win 4 championships. I grew up watching the Warriors be the laughingstock of the NBA. It's a great timeout, but that team was awful. And for most of our childhood, it was awful.
Yeah.
And it grew into something that we can never fathom. Like, they are one of the biggest franchises in all of the NBA, in all of sports. Steph Curry is one of the biggest faces in sports today. So if this is how it goes away, I'm okay with that because I never, to see championships in Oakland, California for the Golden State Warriors, I will always cherish those memories. So if this is how it ends, I'm okay with it. And I'll also bring this up. That's something that's not being talked about enough. And I want to preface it by saying this. I have no knowledge of this. I know that Tom Tolbert and Steve Kerr are close friends, but I do not ask about this. But I do ask about this with Marcus Thompson, who has filled in from time to time. And he believes that it's not nothing that Steve Kerr doesn't have a contract after this season. Right. And I'm starting to feel a certain way about that. There's a lot of changes. Mike Dunleavy is the man in charge, and they could make more changes at the deadline. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities that Steve Kerr wants to go. I wouldn't be shocked. However long this goes on without him having a contract, like we went into I think the All-Star break last year with being like, oh, Bob Myers doesn't have a contract for next season. Well, that's interesting, and then it became something. I don't think it's crazy with how laid back Steve has been this season that maybe he's just kind of enjoying the ride, and this might be the end for him too. I don't want to think that, but I'm starting to think that a little bit.
Yeah, I might be insulting some Warrior fans with this one, but I think the Warrior fans don't help at all. I think they're driving him out of town.
You think so?
In part, yeah. Like, I do think he understands that this team probably doesn't have what it takes to win a championship, and he doesn't need to want to experiment. But, dude, the amount of, like, he doesn't go on social media anymore because of the amount of just hate and vitriol and blame that's directed towards him. You know, he's receiving a brunt of the blame for Draymond, even though Draymond's his own individual. Like, not a brunt of it, because a brunt means a lot, but like he's receiving a chunk of it. Like, I think in part the fan base is driving him out because all they do is blame him. And that comes with the territory of being a head coach. But after you won 4 championships, like, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just weak-minded, but I just be like, all right, I won my 4 championships. This isn't working out. See ya. You know what I mean? Like,
well, we've always heard that Steve wants to stick around with as long as Steph plays, and I do believe that. But also, I wonder if this is going to take a toll on him a little bit. Like, this is not fun right now.
Yeah. And I also think it's the same with Draymond, though. Like, I don't want to question this. You know what I mean? Because I think if I were to Draymond's face, then he'd be like, the hell are you talking about? You don't know anything. You don't know anything about me. But, which is true. Although we sort of do know you because you've been around here for a decade. And what these actions tell me is he doesn't care as much about the organization, I think, as Steph and Clay do. Like, I think that he'd be totally fine going to, like, the Lakers, for example, if they traded him. Like, I don't think he would care about maybe a sour ending potentially with the Warriors. I think Steph and Clay do. I think they do. I kind of question that just based on how things are going. I could be totally wrong. Like, I'm not saying this is
if that's the case, then he would have left.
You think so? Yeah. He wouldn't have signed.
And also, I don't think any trades are being made from the Warriors to the Lakers. Like, I know that's commonplace in the NBA and baseball to trade within your own division, but I would just throw up if a trade was made for Draymond to go to the Lakers or Clay to go to the Lakers. To leave in free agency is one thing, but to make a trade within your own division and conference like that, no, thank you.
Well, you say that all the time, but then it could happen.
Yeah, anything could happen, but I would just be sick to my stomach because I hate the Lakers and their championships are fake, not the ones they had with Magic and Kobe, and well, that's it actually. The bubble one was fake, and this fucking in-season tournament was fake too.
Yeah,
stand by that.
Right. See, this is what I'm talking about with AJ here. Says, I feel that the fans are upset because Kerr cares more about the names on the back of the jersey than the name on the front. The young guys are not being developed in the favor of the old core. And I think that's the type of thing he's tired of. Just all that criticism, because that young core, I'm sorry, but if you just play the young guys, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Did you see the defensive lapses that Kuminga had last night? Kuminga's great. He's got a lot of potential, still has a very high ceiling that he's, barely even halfway up to, but there's still a lot for him to work on in that game. And I think Steve Kerr just has no choice now but to play him. Moody, I think, is ready. I think Moody deserves more time. I think Podziemski absolutely deserves more time.
Yep.
But it's not just the answer, just play the younger. It's not that simple. And I think that's in part what Kerr's tired of. And I'm not directing that at you, AJ, because I think a lot of people share that exact opinion. But I also think those are the types of that's the yelling that Kerr just doesn't want to deal with anymore.
I agree with you. I think it's the same reasons why Kyle Shanahan doesn't play rookies. It's just that he needs guys that he can trust on the court playing at a high basketball IQ. And Jonathan Kuminga has all of the physical traits that you want in a basketball player, but it's not. He's going to play a lot now. I mean, ask and you get what you want. But Draymond being suspended will now give a lot of Jonathan Kuminga minutes, and we'll get a sense of how good he is. But
and I think he's going to get a lot more over Wiggins too, because Wiggins is just, it's just like, this was the game. Like this game here, it's not the fact that it's not like obviously it's not a must win, but like, good God, do you want to lose to another Western Conference team where you lose the tiebreaker again? It's happened plenty of times already this season. I think it's already happened with two different Western Conference teams who could very well be in the same area of the Western Conference as you. Yeah. So I just, everything about it, man, it's just it's a mess. It's all a mess.
Yeah, I don't think there's many teams that are worse than the Warriors right now in the Western Conference. I think that where they sit right now, the teams that the Warriors are better than are just probably the Jazz, the Spurs, the Trailblazers, and whoever else is at the bottom right now. Most of the conference is better than them.
Yeah, they are, and I think those games against Oklahoma City more than anything
that proved that to me. I mean,
yeah,
it's one thing to lose like one, like a 1 point game here or there to like shittier teams, but to lose 3 times to the Thunder, they're a younger, scrappier, better team than the Warriors right now. That's hard to watch right now.
Yeah, but if you watch the broadcast, I mean, they were just giving the Warriors their best shot, as every team is. That's why the Warriors are losing.
Pretty much. By the way, I think I was trying to say "asking you shall receive" earlier. I am so fucking tired from all the Warriors talk tonight.
I'm glad we're still doing it.
No, I'm glad, and I'm glad we're doing it. But it's been a long day, Steven, of Draymond talk. Because I mean,
oh, I got that. It's one of those things where it's like you do it all. You talk about it all day at work, and then when you get home and you're hanging out with friends, or maybe you talk to some family, it's like, I don't want to talk about this right now.
No, but I mean, like, I enjoy talking about it, but it again, like you said, it makes you sad because you just think of everything's kind of going to shit. Like, Steph is the only one who's kind of like, I'm sure he's staying quiet, but he's probably like, what is going on? Like,
of course he is.
Do I have to carry this team right now with Pajemski and Kuminga and Moses Moody? Like, are we going to blow this thing up? Am I going to be the face of the franchise where I have to go through the rebuild with these guys? Like, that doesn't sound fun.
Yeah. Who knows what Steph's thinking right now?
Yeah. Well, on that note, let's go to what AJ Cruz wants.
What's that?
A little hot sauce, Steve.
Oh, damn you, AJ.
I know. You thought I forgot, huh?
AJ, I like you, AJ. I don't know you much, but I like you. And now I don't because of the hot sauce. Yeah. Actually, no, sorry.
Abraham.
I'd take my anger on the podcast out on you. I truly hate the podcast. Yeah, that's what I hate, really.
All right, let's get to some football.
Oh, God.
How did the Raiders lose 3-0, Steven?
Can I get the hot sauce first?
Sure. I'll take this over, and then I'll throw it to you.
Yeah. Give me your take first.
Defense is playing great. Mm-hmm. I think just to get some positivity out of the way. I think Patrick Graham is doing.
I got a negative way to spin it. Trust me, I got a negative way to spin that part.
Anyway, all right,
continue.
I'd say I think the defense is playing pretty well. And I will give my props, my flowers, as the kids say.
That's actually what the older generation says, isn't it?
I don't fucking know these days. Max
Crosby would be like, "Oh, I need to give my sus out to my sus pals. Super sus." Anyway,
I don't even know what the hell that is.
Sus, dude.
I know sus is suspect.
Suspicious.
Oh, whatever.
Maybe suspension. Draymond sus.
Max Crosby having an all-pro season. I don't think defensive player of the year just because of the record and everything for the Raiders, but 13.5 sacks, not bad, career high. So defense is playing pretty well. Offense is putrid. And I know that they found their groove a little bit when they fired Josh McDaniels, but now it's kind of gone back to reality a little bit. And Aiden O'Connell, man. I think he's a backup quarterback. I think he's hanging on to the ball way too long. And I don't know if Mark Davis just doesn't like Jimmy Garoppolo because of his association with Josh McDaniels. But down 3-0 or down 0-0, I mean, just tied up 0-0 for most of that game, you could have made an argument to me just to get a field goal or something that you put Jimmy in. And I know people are like, oh my God, what are you talking about? Aiden, we've seen Aiden play. I've seen what I've seen from Aiden. He could throw the deep ball to Devontae here and now. He holds on the ball for way too long. He definitely should play out the rest of the games with how little games are remaining. But just to win that game, you could make the argument I could have gone to Jimmy Garoppolo there. I don't think that's crazy. Josh Jacobs getting hurt doesn't help. Hunter Renfrow fumbling when he had a great catch and put him in field goal range didn't help. That was a backbreaker. Listen, I mean, it's a 3-0 game. It sucks. I've only seen, I think, another 3-0 game in my lifetime. I remember a Monday night game against the Dolphins and Steelers where the field was shitty and muddy and raining all night, and that's why it was a 3-0 game. There was no excuse for this. The Raiders were pitching a shutout. The Vikings were pitching a shutout, and the Raiders just could do nothing offensively. At this point, I think that it's been a fun story with Antonio Pierce. But I think it's time to look for a legitimate head coach. I think that he has, as I said in the past, he's done a great job galvanizing the team. But I think that in order for them to get to the next level, they need a guy like him that's a leader of men, but also an X's and O's guys to get the offense on par with the Chiefs and even the Broncos. And whatever happens with the Chargers, they're a shit show too. But they need an answer at quarterback, and they need an answer at head coach. I think Antonio Pierce should stay on the coaching staff and be an assistant head coach or linebacker coach like he was before if he doesn't get better opportunities. But for him to stay on as head coach, I don't think is the right move. I know that a lot of the players love him, and I totally respect that. But I think in order for them to get to the next level where this team and this franchise needs to be, they need to upgrade the quarterback position, and they need to upgrade the head coaching.
A lot to digest there. Very good spiel by you.
Well, you're going to have more to digest with that hot sauce.
Yes, I do. That's the hot sauce on there.
Oh, my God. That dab is nothing compared to what I had to do last week.
Who told you to make a big dab?
Nobody, but I did it. Like a man. I sweated bullets, and believe me, it was quite a mess afterwards. But go ahead, Steven. Do your little dab.
It's not my fault that whenever you do the dab, you have zero reaction, which does nothing for the podcast. You just eat it like it's a regular hot spicy.
What do you want me to do? Scream in pain?
You need to just sell it a little bit. I need to be like Draymond. You know what I mean? I need to be like Draymond selling a foul call because this stuff hurts, man.
Stop stalling. Eat it.
And you're a bionic robot human.
What kind of chip you got? Tostito?
Tostada.
Nice.
It's like half a tostada. It's stale too.
Yeah. Don't like stale.
Oh, it got the back of the throat.
Yep, it usually does.
Okay.
Well.
Oh shit.
See, the problem is you sound like you're gonna die every time.
Because I am. This stuff's triple X, dude.
I still need to get the what's the new one called? The what's the hottest pepper now? The Pepper X. I need to get the sauce with that, the Pepper X.
Feel free. Hang on. Okay.
All right, Raiders lose 3-0, Steven.
Yep. Love that you brought up Max Crosby. Because look, dude, I'm not going to sit here and act like I've watched the Browns and the Cowboys as close as ever, okay? But when I'm watching Max Crosby, what he's doing on the football field, good God, if the Raiders had a half-decent record, he'd be in serious consideration for Defensive Player of the Year.
Definitely.
He'd be in serious consideration because I haven't seen a motor like this. I haven't seen a player who's just week in, week out, every snap, balls to the wall. I'm going to get to the court. Like, I haven't seen anyone with his conditioning. Like, all the working out that he talks about doing in the offseason and stuff, trying to be a champion. I mean, you want to talk about feeling bad for the Warriors? At least the Warriors have won. You know, they've done all that. I feel terrible for Max Crosby. This dude deserves so much better. And for a guy who cares so much about legacy, we don't like talking about that, but who cares so much about how he's viewed. He wants to be one of the greats. Well, unfortunately, Max, the way that you put yourself in the pantheon among the greatest of all time, you got to win. and the Raiders just aren't built to win right now. And so that's number one. I feel terrible for Max Crosby because he's just unbelievable. He really is, just everything. He has a plethora, as you said, just a bevy of moves. I saw Printer Griffin.
A little bit.
God. Ugh. Okay.
Go on.
Yeah. To your other points, didn't really think about Jimmy Garoppolo going into the game. Jimmy Garoppolo is an afterthought. You sure? Maybe if you brought him into the game, they might have won. But I was actually hoping that game was going to go 0-0 by the end. I wanted that to be historic, man. Come on.
I was kind of hoping for that, just because of the sickness in me. I'm just seeing like bad football.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that Mark Davis has a thing against Jimmy Garoppolo playing?
Maybe. I just think Jimmy Garoppolo is probably out of it. You don't even care.
He's getting paid not to care, so.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if he's just like, whatever. I'm, like just a backup quarterback who's enjoying the love of Vegas, So,
but you think you don't agree with me on the Patrick Graham, the defense is playing good take?
I do agree with you on that.
You do agree with me on that?
I do agree with you on that. They have been playing better. I mean, they just gave up 3 points. Like, I don't care which team you are in the NFL, unless you're like, I don't know, led by Mac Jones or something. Like, you shouldn't be. No, if you're not allowing any more points than 3, then you're doing something right. And you are all correct. I do sound like Peter Griffin. I do sound like a little like Andrew Luck. And my tongue does swell. I don't know what it is. The saliva gets you. Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah. It'll do that to you.
No, in Aiden O'Connell, clearly not the guy. Antonio Pierce, I was trying to keep my hopes up because I thought, he got an opportunity and maybe this is what he was destined to do. He was born to be a head coach, but maybe not. Like the decisions toward the end of the first half, all of that sort of stuff didn't make any sense. It's like his third questionable decision with clock management, and it's like you make that many questionable decisions like within that amount of time that you've been head coach. Don't think you're really ready for it. No offense to him. Aiden O'Connell, not a starting quarterback. He's fine, but they will play it out with him for the rest of the season. My question to you, though, because Max Crosby is hurt. This isn't going to happen, but I wonder. Max Crosby's playing hurt.
Yep.
Josh Jacobs left that game with an injury.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree with the assessment that they should just sit those players out for the rest of the season?
Max Crosby, that's entirely up to him.
Sound like Sean Connery with this hot sauce.
Winners go home and fuck the prom queen. You're fucking with a real G here.
You pull a knife. Aiden O'Connell pulls a knife. You pull a gun. He puts one of yours in the hospital. You put one of his in the morgue.
Quickly, boys, get on my back. Dragonheart. That's entirely up to Max Crosby because he's having a great season.
Crosby.
So if he wants to keep playing, that's up to him. Josh Jacobs has a free agency payday coming up potentially. I don't know what's going on with running backs and free agency anymore. So that's entirely up to them. I do think I got a text from Alon and I got a text from Aram, two of our favorite Raider fans. Alon obviously fills in when you're not around, Steven. And Alon went to the game, and his point was, I think it's time to actually consider kind of trading away pieces on this offense. And mainly, I mean, you can't do that with Josh Jacobs because he can hit free agency, and mainly that means Devontae Adams. Aram, our buddy, is adamant that what's all this trade talk with Devontae Adams? He's sticking around. I don't think Devontae wants to stick around. I think he made the best of it, and he got to play for his childhood team, and I don't know how much he's willing to put up with this anymore. So I hate giving in to the franchises that want to gang up and get all the big star name players, the big star players. But if the Jets are make a good enough offer for Devontae Adams, I would entertain it. I
Well,
don't know
like,
how
what
much.
would they off? Well, like, what would you mean? Like in the draft?
Yeah, like a first round pick. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, take a look at this though. Raiders are ahead of the Jets right now, according to Tankathon. It's a thing.
Yeah, I know. The thing is, so
Hey,
where are the
Devontae, want to go
Jets?
to Arizona? Want to go to New England? Want to go play
Exactly.
with Bailey Zappi?
Well, that's the thing, though. If you get both, let's say things stay the same. Raiders at 6, Jets at 7. You could package both of those first round picks to move up to get a better quarterback. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, Jaden Daniels mentioned Antonio Pierce in his Heisman Trophy ceremony. You draft Jaden Daniels and then you get Antonio Pierce. You got yourself a good tandem. Stop, please. We're not going to draft Jaden Daniels because Antonio Pierce knows him.
Mhm.
And I need to see more film on him. Props to him for winning the Heisman and everything, but looks a little frail. But he actually put some mass on, I guess, from where he was with Arizona State. But I need to watch more of him than to have an opinion.
Pause. Put some ass on?
I said put some pounds on.
Oh, I thought you said put some ass on.
Did I say put some ass on? I don't think so.
It sounded like you said he put some ass on since his days at Arizona State. I'm like, damn, Derek.
If I did,
go Tigers.
Go Tigers. If I did, please, people in the chat, let me know. But I meant to say pounds. I could be saying anything at this point, man. I'm so tired.
He added some glute to his glutes.
Gluteus maximus, baby. No, I think he needs to add some pounds on.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, you could package those picks together to go up in the draft.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just an option.
Yeah.
I think that anything's on the table with this team. But you're keeping Max Crosby around for the future. And I will say this. I brought this up, I think, last time we were talking about the head coaching situation and everything with the Raiders. I'm starting really to get more in on the David Shaw idea.
Huh.
The more I think about it, the more I'm liking it more and more. Because he's been away from the game for about a year. But in between the offseason of football, David Shaw goes to NFL Network to work on the draft. His knowledge of these players is pretty good. And he's been scouting. So he has a good idea of, who are the good players coming into the draft. He, ran a pro-style offense at Stanford. He's, been around the game for a long time. His father was a defense coordinator with the Raiders. He would fit right in with the, being a Raider. He's on the coaching staff when he was, much younger. And we need an offensive coach. And I say we, but that's just built into my system. I'm starting to like the idea of David Shaw as head coach of the Raiders just because he was sought after for the longest time. And he'd always say, I'm a lifer at Stanford, and then shit went crazy at Stanford. And just getting to know him, I think he's a really smart guy. I like the idea of him being head coach of the Raiders.
I'd also like to hear the criticism of him, though, because I'm in on that idea, and everything you said sounds great. But, I also remember some people saying when he was at Stanford that his offense was a little stale, a little boring. That kind of that makes me nervous, considering this is an offensive-driven league, and your top candidates right now are probably the Lions OC and Ben Johnson. Like it's a little scary of the prospect. I'm open to it, certainly open to it. But back to the trade, I think that could absolutely happen. They need to draft a quarterback. That's number one. Draft someone in the first round. Draft someone early in the first round. Don't stick with a second round pick. Don't try to find a steal. Hey, this guy that nobody's talking about, trying to find the next Brock Purdy. No, that's an outlier. I do not want another second round pick. Get someone who's highly touted, someone who ran a pro style offense in college, looks like he's ready for the pros. Make your evaluations correctly, and please, God, just find the right fit, because the team's in dire need of a championship quarterback or a guy who can be a championship quarterback, and they don't have that right now. And what was it? What do you think Adams would bring in? I think they could get a pretty damn high draft pick. And AJ Cruz says, or Crosby.
No, I saw that. You can't trade away Max Crosby.
That is out of the question. Like, as much as I feel bad for him and think he should head elsewhere for his career, the Raiders would be so dumb to just let him go and do that because, look, man, the reason the defense has gotten better has been because he's having an all-pro defensive player of the year type season. And by the looks of it, his contract doesn't really start kicking in until next year. That's when he starts making the big bucks. A lot of it's been through signing bonus and all of that, but next year is when the actual base salary starts kicking in. So he's going to be making like 20 million, then 21 million, going to be getting paid like one of the top defensive players in the league. He'll be 27 next year. He's in his prime. That's the guy you want to build the defense around. But Adams is, he's still Devontae Adams, but he's going to be 31 next year. And other teams are going to be willing to cough up a huge amount to get him. Like, I think that's probably the guy you're going to trade. And with Josh Jacobs, I don't know what's happening with Jacobs either. I don't know what they do at running back. Oh, there's so much questioning with this team, but can't wait for the barn burner on Thursday. That'll be fun.
Well, I do expect the Raiders to win that game. And we can pick that game right now. I think the Raiders are favored by 3. The over-under, I'll take a look real quick. But with Easton Stick playing, God, the Chargers, Jesus Christ. They fucked up that whole situation. And believe me, like, not even just being a Raider fan anymore, just being a fan of football. Like, I hate what's happened to Justin Herbert and the Chargers. Like, they were a fun team to watch. Last year or the year before that, just he looks like the next best thing, and they have really just let him just deal with a bunch of bullshit this season. So they need to fire Brandon Staley pronto, and they won't do it right now because they're a cheap organization. They need to go all in on a coach, but they're just really screwing with him. The over-under is 34.5, and the Raiders are favored by 3. I'll take the Raiders. I'll lay the points, and I'll go under on that.
Yeah, I'll do the same thing.
Yeah,
and there's a 90% chance I won't watch it.
I'll have it on the background. I'll watch that in the Warriors, whatever shit show becomes of both of those teams right now. But yeah, with Easton Stick playing and Keenan Allen not even playing, the Raiders might get back-to-back weeks where they held the team without a touchdown, but may lose in the process. So yeah, a lot of things need to change with the Raiders. As far as the 49ers, not a whole lot needs to change. They look like the best team of football.
You're so boring to talk about now because they're so good.
I know. That's the thing, is that we expect them to win, and they just beat down teams every week. I thought it may have been a different game, as you thought, with our picks, if Geno Smith had played. But with Drew Lock playing, yeah. I mean, the Seahawks, they did some things better than the first go-around on Thanksgiving night. But in the end, it's just too much. Christian McCaffrey busts off, a 72-yard run on the first play from scrimmage. Brock Purdy's playing great. He threw that one pick to, I think it was Tariq Woolen who caught that interception. But besides all that, we've seen his deep ball game a little bit more. I've been impressed by that. He says his arm is getting better since the UCL tear of the offseason. I think Debo's playing the best of his career. I know that they've used him in both ways as a running back and wide receiver, but just being a wide receiver lately, I've been really impressed with him. And I know it's Jamal Adams, and he's not the best at coverage, but to burn him on that play I thought was really good. Brandon Ayuk getting deep balls. This is the first time this season that Debo and Ayuk went for over 100 yards together. And they're making a case with how, little A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith have done the last couple of weeks that Debo and Ayuk may be the best wide receiver tandem at football. So yeah, dude, there's not really a lot to say. They just beat down teams, and I don't think anybody stands in their way right now. The only thing that could stand in their way is injuries. That's the only thing I see preventing the 49ers from being Super Bowl champions.
Yeah, I think it's funny how sports just conversation, a lot of it is just focusing on one player. And then if you focus on that one player, that means you're diminishing what the other player is doing. But the fact is, your quarterback, your running back, and your 2 wide receivers are are playing the best football they've ever played in their careers.
Yep.
And, obviously I'm not going to speak for Trent Williams and what he's done because, he's been doing this forever, but good God, Trent Williams looks like he's still the same, even though he's 32, 33 years old. He's looking like he's 25 right now. Like he's just playing at an unbelievable level. And when you're getting all those things clicking and you combine that with George Kittle, who's not having the best season of his career, but George Kittle doing George Kittle things.
Yeah.
Like this is pretty much like this is what you get. You just get the teams that are you're just gonna see them blow out everybody. If they're playing at as high a level as they're playing right now. It's crazy about McCaffrey, right? When he was with the Panthers, like those second and third years, that's when he was just a killer, right? Well,
the 1,000 season, yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's already eclipsed the rushing total from 2018 already. He had 1,098 yards rushing that year. He already has 1,177. That next year, 1,387. So he needs 210 yards of rushing to eclipse that total, and he still has a few more games to play. Like, he's probably going to have the best season of his career, and not even to mention the receiving numbers either. Then you got Ayuk doing what he's doing. Debo's faster than I think that I've ever seen him. Like, I haven't seen him move this quick. Normally, like, what was so crazy about that second year, or was it the third year? The third year, what made it so crazy was that he was just running through everybody. This time, no one's even catching up to him.
Yeah.
He's running through people. Sure, he's breaking tackles, but he's also just running by everyone. He just gets this, once he gets his foot planted and he could just go. It's just, they're all playing at an extremely high level right now. Brock Purdy, probably the MVP because he's the quarterback. You could argue till you're blue in the face, literally blue in the face, because the TV had your face looking blue just then. But like, all of them, it all just works. You know what I mean? It's like a soup, like a great soup. You get all the ingredients, you get the broth, you get the seasonings, you get the vegetables, you get the meat, you get potential noodles in there. And then you get like the crackers on top. I don't know who's the crackers on top. Maybe the crackers on top is the special teams, because Mitch Wishnowsky, didn't even mention him. Mitch Wishnowsky is playing the best that he's ever played in his very, very young career. He's the crackers on top of that soup. Weird analogy, but
man, you and your analogies, man. Last week it was chairlifts. Now it's fucking soup.
God, dude, if you're talking about chairlifts, the 49ers, they're leading.
Yeah, go on.
You know what I mean? Like, they're leading the pack right now. They were the first ones on the chairlift, meaning the playoffs, and now they're just cruising all the way up as other teams are chasing them.
Yeah, I mean, thanks to Tommy DeVito, they're already on that chairlift.
God, Tommy DeVito.
We'll don't worry. Restrain yourself. We'll get to him and his fucking agent and all that. It's ridiculous. I want to bring up something, though, you said last week. I brought up who's the MVP on this team, and you said more so Purdy than McCaffrey. Because you said that even without McCaffrey, you think this team would be good with just either Elijah Mitchell or Jordan Mason. You did say this.
I regret that.
Okay, good. Because listening back, I was like, God, Steven, that's insane. Like, do you know how good they are with McCaffrey?
Yeah, it's a bad take.
Yeah, I would say so. Okay, but then, do you think McCaffrey's more of an MVP than, like, the MVP of the team? Like, I know that that's just the team award.
Who cares?
I know, but, like, I think there's an argument to be had for McCaffrey. He's not going to win it. But I mean, Purdy's having a great season. But if you ask me who's the MVP of football right now, I would say McCaffrey. But he's not going to get it. So I would say Purdy over Dak Prescott.
Slightly right now? I think.
Dak, I mean, here we go. But he's playing well.
Yeah, that game against the Eagles was really like that was huge for him. But I think it's going to be a close. I think it's going to be a close race, and I don't know. What do you think the league wants? Do you think they'd rather have a cowboy who's come back from an injury and who's done this and that, or do you want a guy who was Mr. Irrelevant came in his second year and led the way with a team full of Avengers. Like, which one do you think the NFL is more favoring? Because that's
I
what matters.
mean, if we're thinking about like sports writers and how they think, I mean, there's always favoritism towards the Cowboys. And right now, Dak Prescott is the MVP favorite. So if the numbers are the same, they might give it to Dak. But I still don't think the Cowboys are going to win the division. I will tell you what's pretty likely, though. Right now, the Niners have the number one scoring defense, and they're third in scoring offense. No team has been number one in both categories since 1996 with the Green Bay Packers. I think the 49ers are so good on both sides of the football. I don't think anybody comes close as far as being even on offense and defense of how elite they are. That I think that they have a good chance to get that this season. If they put up much more points and they shut teams down, they do on defense. I think they could be number one scoring defense and number one scoring offense.
Of course they do. They're a complete team. Yeah. Yeah, of course. With their schedule remaining, the only thing that's going to set them back is if they already notched that one seed and they just, give a couple of players the day off.
Well, I think that'll be tough just because I think the Eagles are going to be a little bit focused going forward than they were last week. Let me just get to that game real quick. The Cowboys blow out the Eagles 33-13. Props to the Cowboys for beating somebody because that was a big, narrative with them this whole season. Same thing with the Dolphins. They haven't beat anybody big. They just blow out teams at home and they lose to either the Niners or who else they lose to this year? The Niners, the Eagles, or for whatever reason the Cardinals earlier in the season. So props to the Cowboys for having
that loss to the Cardinals. Wow.
Yeah, bad. I know. Forget about that. Props to the Cowboys for having the best win of the season so far. But I will say also, the Eagles' effort was just piss poor. Like, just watching that game, like, I know that they went there to win, but it didn't come across that way just watching the game. The body language of Jalen Hurts, because I know he usually stays cool, calm, collected, but on the fumble and A.J. Brown fumbling and Devontae Smith fumbling, Nick Sirianni looking up at the Jumbotron in between plays, like, did they really just fumble? Like, the defense's effort, they just look like they don't give a shit right now. And I know they do because they're grown-ass men and they're trying to go play football, but the Eagles, man, like, Steve Young came on our show last week and said they look like pretenders. They kind of do right now. They kind of look like they're just going through the motions. They don't know what the hell they're doing on defense. They don't know what the hell they're doing on offense. I think they'll get it right, but that was as lackadaisical, Zion, a performance I've seen in quite some time from a football team where they just look like they didn't give a shit.
Yeah, they're gassed.
Yep.
I think that's what they are. They're gassed. So I don't know what other way to put it other than that. I barely watched any of that game just because, like,
it was time to watch Elf.
It was time to watch Elf.
No, that was last week. What Christmas movie did you watch this time?
Die Hard.
Nice.
Just
with
kidding.
Ellis?
No, dude, come on. When the plumbing was going on,
Hans Booby under White Knight.
For the podcast listeners, yesterday, plumbing going on when I got home. Didn't want to be in the house because they were jackhammering below, so it was very, very loud. So I left and I went to the movies and I went into the theater and saw Die Hard because it was the 35th anniversary.
Nice.
God, it was sick. And no, it's not a Christmas movie. I don't believe it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah, it takes place during Christmas.
It takes place during Christmas, and there's a lot of Christmas music in the film. But
yeah, Christmas in Hollis, baby.
Yeah. One of the best uses of music in a movie ever. Number one is Robert De Niro with the slow-mo shot of him smoking a cigarette in Goodfellas with Sunshine of Your Love in the background. That's number one. Christmas Hollis is very close. But anyway, what was the point I was getting at? Oh, yeah. Saw Die Hard in theater. Loved it. Highly recommend it. Good call, Ernie, going tomorrow or Friday. I just missed those kind of movies.
You recommend a movie that was 35 years ago?
In the theater, yes. Worth it. That's all I'm saying.
I'm with you. I saw Pulp Fiction in theaters. Like me and my buddy in college, it was playing at a local theater. I was like, yeah, let's check it out. We've seen it before, but it's a different feel. Like you feel like you're transported in some kind of hot tub time machine back to when the movie was made. It's kind of nice.
Facts. You're not allowed to reference that movie because you haven't seen it yet, though,
All
Derek.
right, that's fair. That's fair.
Um,
I just like saying that though. Whenever it comes to a time machine thing.
I miss those movies, man. I miss them where they're mindless. You know what I mean? They're not symbolic of the times we're living in.
Yeah.
And all this sort of stuff where you got to think, you know, you got an evil guy. He's German. Then you got freaking Bruce Willis, who's badass, doesn't understand these people from fucking California. And you got his wife. It's pretty clear what's happening. Like, I just loved it. It was locked in the entire time.
The that's on the plane that doesn't believe what's going on with the what's the name of the building? The
The Yakatomi Plaza.
Yakatomi Plaza.
Dude. So, question. I know I'm getting off track because we're talking football, but what's like one movie scene that you wish you could go back, you could erase your memory, you give the little Men in Black memory laser thing, and you just
deneuralizer,
and you erase that part, and you just watch it again for the first time because, good God, that elevator scene in Die Hard, where he's hanging on by the machine gun on the opening there, and he's just like going down on the little. The whatever it is, the belt, I think, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was. It was tied to the gun, and he was rappelling down the elevator shaft.
I got you. I would say, I think still to this day, the best movie going experience I've ever had was when The Dark Knight came out. And the scene where the truck flips.
Yeah.
Everyone in the theater collectively goes, "Oh!" And it was just the best experience I've ever had watching a movie. But that's hard to say. Like, there's so many times where you watch a movie for the first time, you're like, "Oh my God, this is incredible."
Yeah.
It's hard to pinpoint just one time, but that's the best movie in the theater experience I've ever had.
Yeah. Got it. Dude, I really went in a hot tub time machine. I transported myself back to 1985 or whenever that movie was made. And I just thought to myself, like, could you imagine the reaction in the theater when this first came out?
Oh, well,
he drops down the elevator.
Well, at the time, I mean, Bruce Willis was looked at as like a sitcom guy because he just came off of whatever show that was, Moonlighting. Moonlighting. Yeah, he was known as that, and then he became an action star. People are like, Bruce Willis in action movies? What the hell's that about?
California.
All right. Finishing up on football. I'll be honest. I watched more of Bills Chiefs than I did Raiders Vikings because I saw the score and I was like, this is the better game.
Fair enough.
The Bills look good. And I said a week ago that I think they're going to go on a roll here, and I wouldn't be surprised if they win the division. I'm going to stand by that, Steven. After their loss to the Eagles, I got a feeling about this team, and now they just beat the Chiefs. I think the Bills win the AFC East, and I'm especially going to back that point up when we get to the Dolphins game real quick. But just to go on this game, something's obviously up with the Chiefs. Their offense is just not the same. They don't have any playmakers without Travis Kelce, and Josh Allen played a great game with the exception of that one pick he threw. But he's playing better football, just not doing turnovers to lose the game. I did think the Latavius Murray catch, you see that catch he had along the sideline? That should have been incomplete. That should not have been a catch. He did not maintain possession of that ball for too long. You know what play I'm talking about? Did you watch this game at all?
Nope.
Okay. So let me just get to the point of what everybody's talking about this week with the Chiefs and Bills. There was the play where Kadarius Toney was offside. Mm-hmm. And then Travis Kelce catches the pass. He laterals to Kadarius Toney. He scores a touchdown and would have given the Chiefs the lead, but not necessarily the win. Because we know when Mahomes and Allen play each other, it goes back and forth. Nevertheless, that touchdown did not count because Kadarius Toney was offsides. That play should not have happened. That is a formation play, a procedural play that happens before the snap. The ref should have blown the whistle. Whatever happened after that is inconsequential. So I don't want to hear all this bullshit of they took away the sweetest play of all time. It doesn't matter. Yes, Kadarius Toney was past the line. Now, is it on the refs to tell Andy Reid that or Kadarius Toney? No. Normally they do, but it's not incumbent on them to have to do that. So while it does suck, that's just football. But I will say, like, I thought it was more of kind of an enforcement by the referees these days, where if a play is offsides, like if a defensive player is offsides, or whatever happens before the play, that it's strictly a formation play, they're supposed to blow the whistle dead. Like, I thought there was supposed to be a whole thing of pointing attention with Aaron Rodgers where he's not going to get as many free plays. Nevertheless, that play should not have counted. I mean, that touchdown should not have transpired. The whistle should have been blown. We should not have seen what would have happened after that play. So everyone bitching and moaning that, oh, they scored on that play, it's inconsequential. It does not matter. Kadarius Toney was offsides. They lost the game. They lost back-to-back games. Did the Chiefs get screwed the week before against the Packers with the Hail Mary situation? I mean, Hail Mary stuff happens all the time with PI, but the clear pass interference at the end of the game, yes, they got screwed. This week, did they get screwed? No. It was the right call in the right situation. And for Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid to act the way they did, I thought they acted like whiny babies. I thought that Patrick Mahomes, I understand he's competitive and everything, but he looked ridiculous. He, trying like he's going to beat the crap out of the ref and then talking that shit to Josh Allen at the end of the game, like, fucking worst call I've ever seen in my life. That's fucking horse shit. It's like, what do you want Josh to say in that moment? So I respect the hell out of Patrick Mahomes. I think he's the best quarterback in football, maybe the best all time. But the way he acted after the game was ridiculous. He threw a temper tantrum. And I know he's owned up to it afterwards and has apologized, and I commend him for that. But even Andy Reid saying, like, the NFL has got to be, they can't have that stuff. The Chiefs have benefited from shitty calls all the time. The Super Bowl, the AFC Championship game. Was it fair? I mean, yeah. But also, like, was it, kind of weird and, like, you felt, that's not a good way to win? Yeah, absolutely. This is the first time where things didn't benefit Mahomes. So I think he needs to chill the fuck out. Like, I thought he acted like a baby.
I get it. I get it. I get all of it. He was pissed.
You're allowed to be pissed, but you can't act like that.
Why not?
Because you think Josh Allen should have acted that way when he didn't get the ball back when Mahomes went down and scored the touchdown against Travis Kelce? Or when he threw the touchdown to Travis Kelce in the playoff game?
I think he could have.
I'm just saying, we've seen quarterbacks get screwed all the time. And I thought Mahomes acted like, you know who I am? I'm Patrick Mahomes, and I'm getting screwed out of one of the best plays of all time, and I don't lose this way. That's the way it came across, and I was like, dude, just take the loss. You're looking really bad right now.
I think it was a combination of things, though. I don't think it was just the play. And you know what? The worst part was the going at the ref thing. Whatever. To me, whatever. The thing with Allen,
he was looking to kick his ass. That was ridiculous.
The thing with Allen was terrible.
Yeah.
I'll say that. You can't go to the middle of the field and cry like that. Oh, that was such a bad call. Oh. It was like, what do you think Allen's going to say in that situation? Allen didn't care. You know what I mean? But I just think the reaction to it, we've been waiting for so long for this guy to blow up, and he did. I just think that it's a combination of him understanding this offense isn't the same. The MVS drop a couple of weeks back where he didn't say anything. He pretended that it was his fault. Just all that stuff. I think it just came to a head, and I think we just witnessed him in one of his potentially worst moments. And did he react the way that you should as a pro? Probably not. But I just think back to the times where I'm in my worst moments, Derek, and I act irrationally, and I let my emotions get the better of me. Yeah. And I think we just saw it play out all on national television. And I'll give him a pass for now. It was ridiculous. It was stupid, sure. But I think he knows that. And I have a feeling he's about as embarrassed by it as anything else, because now I think the perception of him has changed. I don't think perception's reality. I
Full
don't.
circle.
But hey, man, like, if someone reacts that way, I don't know. I just think we're very judgmental of athletes when we see them at their worst. And I think that was really brought to the forefront the other night with Mahomes. And I don't know, sometimes it's kind of refreshing.
I understand that. I do. And I believe me, I don't think that Tom Brady acted the most dignified after losses where he didn't acknowledge some quarterbacks and screamed and bitched his way to getting flags. But yeah, it was a bad look for Mahomes. Do I put it against him? No. I think he's still an amazing quarterback.
I think a lot of people do, man. That's the thing. Maybe you don't, but I think a lot of people do. I think a lot of people are gonna be like, "Oh, do you remember the way that he reacted after the Bills game, though?"
No, listen, we got to have a short-term, memory when it comes to this stuff. Like we can't, I think most of the NFL watching audience will. Like if he goes out and has a great performance against the New England Patriots, and no one's gonna remember what happened last week. I just feel like it was a bad moment for him. He looked like a spoiled little brat, to be completely honest. Like this doesn't happen to me. It happens. Your team's not having the best season. I still think the Chiefs are gonna get the number one seed. I really do. If you look at the schedule for the Chiefs and the Ravens and the Dolphins and the Jags, I still think they make it as the number one seed. So I think that just chill out. Like it was just kind of like he's over competitive, but like I don't know, like is Joe Burrow doing that? Is Josh Allen Josh Allen? A lot of shit. That's Josh Allen's kind of used to those moments.
Yeah.
So to me, it was just kind of like, all right, Patrick.
Yeah.
You're great. We all know you're great. Calm the fuck down. Like you come on, like in Blazing Saddles. Come on, baby. You're making a spectacle of yourself.
AJ saying, when you sound like an angry Kermit the Frog, it's hard to take him seriously.
Yep.
That could be true. I do think that Kermit had every right to react in the Muppets Christmas Carol when Michael Caine, "Hey, Bob Cratchit, you have to come into work on Christmas Day." And then Kermit the Frog had every right to say, "Hey, I don't think I want to come in. I got to go take care of my son, Tiny Tim." And
all right, Derek.
Could have been that angry. All right, I tried.
Was that the name of the pitcher, the Chance pitcher that always do the Kermit the Frog impression?
Yeah, Derek Holland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why are there so many? What's on the other side? All right.
There's only 4 more sheep till Christmas.
All right. But I do think the Bills are going to win the AFC East because I think the Dolphins are frauds. I think they're soft. And I saw that on Monday night where they had that 2-touchdown lead against the Titans, and they blew it to a more physical team. I think when the Dolphins play more physical teams, they get kicked in the ass. And I think that Tua, without Tyreek Hill, gets lost. You want to talk about system quarterbacks with Brock Purdy? Brock Purdy can adapt on the fly. I don't know if Tua can. Just watching him, when he doesn't have Tyreek Hill, he looks lost. For him to take that sack at the end of the game when it's a 4th and 2, all you need is a field goal to win the game. Like, come on, Tua. And not to be nitpicky, but like watching Hard Knocks with him, when he throws that touchdown pass to Tyreek Hill, and it's not on the perfect spot against the Washington Commanders, Tyreek Hill goes to him in the log and he's joking with him. He goes to the sideline. He's like, "Don't you ever throw that pass like that again." Because he's joking with him, but also he's like, "Dude, throw it perfect to me. Like, you don't throw it on the outside. Don't throw it here. We have to adjust to the ball." There are things with Tua where I'm like, they're not going to win with him. Like, I just watching Hard Knocks, it kind of frustrates me because it's like he doesn't have the same mentality of a Patrick Mahomes that's like so like, just a perfectionist. Where Mike McDaniel, I love him, but also his like kind of, lackadaisical, I said it 3 times now, Zion, attitude towards him is like, "Come on, you're a gangster, man. You'll figure it out." It's just like he's not getting better. So watching the Dolphins, they have a great offense, but I think when they play more physical teams, they get punched in the mouth.
It's hard to disagree with you on that, but I'm also looking at the Titans and thinking that they got something
with Will Levis.
With Will Levis, dude's a competitor, man.
Shredded.
He's absolutely shredded. It's because of all that milk he's not drinking.
It's all those banana peels he's chewing.
Yeah, yeah. As we know, banana peels build strong bones. But I think no, I think the Dolphins are a quarterback away. If you want to talk about like an MVP, like Tyreek Hill is an MVP of that team because they really do just fall flat whenever he's taken out of the game. But I don't know. My reaction to that was more like just Will Levis and him just driving his team downfield, getting in sync with DeAndre Hopkins. He's a baller, man. And I think he's a lot of fun for the league. And I think a lot of teams are going to regret passing up on him because I think the Titans kind of got a steal in the second round.
Yeah, maybe the Raiders regret passing up on him, even though I wasn't a fan of him watching, highlight tapes and whatnot.
Right. No one was.
Yeah. But I give a lot of credit to Mike Vrabel and Brian Dable. Kind of rhymes. Mm-hmm. Because both of those guys were not supposed to win those games on Monday night, but just because I think they're great coaches, to be completely honest. I think Mike Vrabel's a good coach, and I think that Brian Dable's a good coach, and they just found ways to win that game because they know how to galvanize their teams and knows how to scheme it up. Which brings us to Tommy DeVito and his agent Sally, or whatever his name is. This is fun. I mean, it's fun. Like from the chicken cutlets to them scoring touchdowns with the hey, bada bing. If the Packers weren't as depleted as they were, I thought they would have won that game. But Brian Dable knows how to scheme it up, and Tommy DeVito's playing well right now. He's not the answer at quarterback long term. I think he's having kind of like a Linsanity moment right now, but it's fun. And he's in the NFL's, loving the whole stereotypical Italian thing in New York. He fits in New York. His family's fun. The agent, though, whatever his name is, I think it's Sally. I just loved the Manning cast. I don't know if you saw it, Steven, where Peyton's like, now who the hell's this guy? Who is this guy? This Johnny Fontaine looking son of a bitch. Like that guy is a fucking character. Like I know he's actually like a real agent and everything, but like, come on, dude. Like, are you expecting to show up dressed like the Mask at the end of the movie and not get like questions about like, oh, are you a goon or something? Like that's insane.
Yeah, agreed. Oh, we got a friend. Hello.
Oh
God.
Phoebe, right?
It is Phoebe.
What's up, Phoebes?
Getting the cat there. There she goes. Get off. Yeah. All right, you're gone. God, unbelievable. No, dude, like he comes in dressed in the all black and the fedora. I think it's great for football.
Kissing his dad kissing him.
Yeah, all of it. It might be embellished, but look, man, football needs this, because I don't
do they really?
Yes, it absolutely does.
From Taylor Swift to stereotypical Italians.
Everything. Look, dude, they did not. Like, I don't know if I really agreed with the reaction, but for whatever reason, Taylor Swift pissed off a lot of people, or at least the coverage around Taylor Swift, which I'd say to those people, take a step back and ask yourself if that really bothers you, if that's something you should be wasting your anger on instead of something else. Like, spend your mental energy elsewhere instead of worrying about the NFL's coverage of Taylor Swift. Dove AI climbing. But just this year hasn't been great. Like like the quarterback play. Like I heard Cam Newton speaking earlier about how all these guys are game managers and no one's actually an elite talent. And I'm sure he's comparing himself, but also it's like, hey, Cam, if you were a game manager towards the end of your career, maybe you'd still actually be playing.
Right.
But like, I don't know, football just needs that extra juice right now because it's not just week after week, it's not cutting it. Everything's been just, I think the level of play has been down. Everything going on with the Patriots, what was once a dynasty, now you got people questioning whether Bill Belichick's actually a good coach or not, which is just an asinine type of conversation to have. Like, are you kidding me? Just to say it was all Tom Brady and not Bill Belichick, like, get out of here. Yeah. And just everything with Aaron Rodgers, everything with the quarterbacks, the Raiders stink. The Chargers, like you mentioned, they stink. Joe Burrow, the Bills are starting to come around, but the Dolphins, like the way that you're talking about the Dolphins right now, that's sad. You know that? Because at the beginning of the season, we're talking about this being potentially one of the greatest offenses of all time. What do you know? They can't play well against good teams. Like, just this whole season has been nothing but disappointment through 14 weeks, except unless you're a 49er fan. Because,
basically.
God, the 49er fans are just killing it right now, and the 49ers are killing it right now, and it seems like you should be getting your ticket to Las Vegas because you might want to go to Allegiant Stadium to witness the 49ers potentially win a Super Bowl. But
I've been dreading that.
But it's like it needs something like this. And Tommy DeVito, he's fresh. He's in this. He's fresh like basil. There's this like. Just everything around the NFL right now, I think, has been negative. And I think Tommy DeVito is bringing a little fun to it. Now the Giants have won 3 straight. They're watchable again. Like, they were even worse with Daniel Jones. And you had people convinced that Brian Daboll wasn't a good coach.
Yeah.
Like, just everything. So I'm glad Tommy DeVito's around. I'm glad his family's around. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's something that people can glob onto. And it's with the New York Giants. The New York Giants, I know they're not a very good team, but they're very popular globally. For whatever reason, the Giants are a very popular brand.
Because of Madagascar. The New York Giants.
New York Giants. Yeah, my cousin's a fan of them. I'm like, what do you... My Giants stink this year. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Does he talk like that?
Well, yeah, he's English.
Oh, I thought you were doing the New York accent.
No, what? Sorry. But no, man. Tommy DeVito. Yeah, we need this.
I'm just waiting for the offseason where they kick Jimmy Garoppolo to the curb for Subway ads. And it's, hey, yo, I got chicken cutlet parmesan like my Nona used to make. And then, like, instead of his Nona, it's like his actual dad. He's like, hey, this is what we make, Tommy. Hey, yo,
he's everything that the NFL wishes Jimmy Garoppolo was.
Yes, more Italian.
Mm-hmm.
More stereotypical.
Yeah, right? Like, if there's anything,
by the way,
if Jersey Shore taught us anything, it's that America loves the stereotypical Italian American.
Don't they? I mean, that's something that I've realized more and more the last couple of weeks, from Big Dom to Tommy DeVito.
Mm-hmm.
Who the fuck is that guy in the video with Tommy DeVito talking about, hey, bolognese is a lot, man. Bolognese is a lot.
Hang on. Don't you dare say anything bad about cuisine. He's all class. All right?
That's what I'm saying. No,
he's
I just
all
like
class.
I just like his accent. Where
and if you talk bad about him, he's going to come after your sister.
So who is he?
He's an Instagram guy.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah.
I just like where he was like, hey, lasagna. Hey, Tommy's not eating lasagna during the season. Fuck's matter with you?
Yeah, dude. He posts all these Instagram videos. He's great. He goes around in New York eating at different Italian spots. It's all class. Take care, brush your hair. It's awesome.
That's not bad.
Cuisine. No.
All right, super fast, quick hits just to get us out of here. Jake Browning looks pretty good. Pretty good for the Bengals. I don't know if they're gonna be a playoff team, but hey, Jake Browning, not too bad. Should I do the rest of these in Italian accent?
Yes.
Hey, the Ravens. Hey, they won in overtime. I don't know if I'm buying their offense, but hey, Rams, I can see them sneak in. You know what I mean?
Lamar Jackson, pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good. Hey, you know who's looking pretty good? Joe Flacco.
Hey, Flacco's
Joey
back.
Deep Balls, man.
Hey, he's elite.
Might call him Joey Meatballs. Throwing to David Njoku. Look at him.
He's throwing the meatballs like he's throwing the pizza dough in the morning in the 5:45.
Good Lord. Hey, but I'll tell you what, man. Trevor Lawrence doing too fucking much, especially on that high ankle sprain. Hey, I don't know about that.
You want to talk about take care, brush your hair.
Speaking of which, CJ Stroud, hey, take it easy this week, baby. With a concussion. I select those Texans to make the playoffs. Stay D'Amico, but we'll see about that. Lions, too many kneecaps, huh? Jared Goff, what the fuck's the matter with you? Come on, put the ball in the end zone. What are we doing here? And the NFC South's a fucking joke. Come on. Saints, Bucks, Falcons, all you guys, forget about it. All right, that's all I got. It's a fugazi of a division. I'll tell you that, my friend.
It's a fugazi. It's a woozy. Oh.
Everybody laughs at Italians.
It's just that's probably the conversations that the DeVitos are having at home.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, pretty much. By the way, we were talking about we were laughing about Adam Copeland brought it up with just how Italians love Italian food, and just we're bringing up that scene in The Sopranos where Bobby Baklava. Did you watch The Sopranos, Steven?
Only the first season.
Oh, okay, never mind. There's a hilarious scene where Bobby comes home and Janice, Tony's wife, is making he's like, we don't have any food in the house, and they have one last baked ziti made, and he's like, that's the baked ziti my dead wife made. I can't eat that. I'm hungry. Put it in the oven. It's ridiculous. All right, that's enough for tonight. I am, as you can tell, I'm kind of losing my mind from Draymond Green talk to anyway.
How was some of your best work?
Thank you. I have experience from family get-togethers.
Yep.
We are not going to do a show on Saturday because we got 3 games going on, and you don't want to watch us. So enjoy the games. We're going to post our picks for this week just on Twitter. We'll put up the little graphic that Steven makes with our picks, and that way you can see them. But for the here and now, we're going to take a week, or I'm not going to take a week off, but we'll take this weekend off, and we'll come back on Tuesday to react to the games. How's that sound, Steven?
Sounds good to me.
All right. You're taking up enough of your time tonight, guys. Thanks for everybody in the chat tonight. Skills, AJ Cruz, the Ernies. Thank you guys as always. Steven, let's get the fuck out of here.
Hey, Napoli, I'm just your opinion, man.